What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from NoleGameday.com. We're here live on a wonderful, fantastic Wednesday evening, and it is Miami week. Florida State, number 18th in the country, and number 3. And Mario Cristobal and the Hurricanes are coming into town for a primetime matchup on ABC. Kirk Herbstreit is going to be in Doak Campbell Stadium. I don't know if he's going to get down there on the field. I don't know if that's going to be the best idea for him with the rabid fan base that will be surrounding Doak Campbell Stadium and Bobby Bowden Field on Saturday night. But still, nonetheless, a game must be played. And it seems like just from Mike Norvell earlier today, this team is ready to respond after their first loss of the season to Virginia. On this show this evening, we will be giving our game-winning prediction between Florida State and Miami, also some score predictions as well. 3 key matchups to watch out for in this game. We're also going to hear from Mario Cristobal along with 2 Mike Norvell. Tommy Castellanos also commented on this game too. There's a lot of things. We also got Paul Finebaum already discrediting Florida State's win over Alabama. You knew that was coming, but we'll go and quote and see exactly what he said. Heather Dinich actually standing up for Florida State. What a time to be alive. 2025 is a wild year to already live in. But here we are. This is craziness. But with me this evening is Austin Veazey, our lead basketball writer at NoleGameday.com. And then over at the other side is our editor-in-chief at NoleGameday, Dustin Lewis. D-Lou, gentlemen, it's Miami week, one of our most favorite times of the year, and we're set up for an absolute showdown on Saturday evening.
It's good to be back. Florida State, Miami, under the lights in Doak Campbell Stadium on Saturday night. And I mean, obviously a rivalry that has meant a ton to college football over the last couple of decades. And I mean, has big implications on not only the ACC title race, but potentially college football playoff spot down the line. So FSU trying to bounce back, obviously, after that loss last weekend. Miami coming in off a bye and already have 2 top 25 victories under their belt and have played some decent competition so far. We'll see what the Seminoles can do on Saturday night.
And I'm looking to bounce back from a bad sports weekend between Florida State losing Friday night, the Vikings losing Sunday morning, Ryder Cup not going well for the U.S. It was just a bad sports weekend. So I need a refresher, get back on track this weekend, and hopefully that starts with the victory against the Canes on Saturday night.
I'm sorry, Veazey. I'm sorry we had to do that to you in Dublin.
Football should just be banned from Ireland. Never played again.
Oh, man, yeah, that's for you, really. I mean, I know FSU lost that game last year, but my Steelers made up for it this year and did what they needed to do and took care of business against those Vikings. But still, nonetheless, we're here for this game on Saturday evening. Before we get started, as always, you can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. If you're on YouTube right now, smack the like button. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. Tons and tons of content going all throughout every week for you guys with previews. Also, too, we'll have an instant reaction. We won't have a watch party for Saturday's game. We'll have an instant reaction like we always usually do in years past. So we'll see you guys on Saturday evening for that one. But make sure you're subscribed so then you can get pinged to your phone when we do hit that go button. But let's go and get started here. Let's just see what the vibes are like. What are the vibes like to you guys after this? I mean, it's been a good long time now since Florida State had that loss against Virginia, and it's given me some time to collect my thoughts and such. And kind of just wonder where Florida State's head was at in that game going into Virginia. I mean, it shows Virginia is one of the top offenses in the country, and that defense lacked a lot of its, I would say, physical nature, but also to just its want to get after that ass kind of mentality that you saw in week 1 and the previous 2 games with some lower competition, but still, nonetheless, you still go off of that week 1 game against Alabama, who has some high top tier talent, who is now showing us that they can play with the big dogs with the big win over Georgia this last weekend. So where do you think, vibes to you going into this game are at?
Well, I don't know if you should listen to me. I'm eating my crow a little bit this week. I thought Florida State would go on the road, handle business against Virginia on Friday night. Obviously, that didn't happen. That said, going into this one, I'm a little cautiously optimistic from the Florida State side because to me, I'm like everything that could go wrong went wrong on Friday night. Florida State down in that 14-0 hole. They're able to battle back out of it. The defense having its problems all night. You're still able to take Virginia on the road to double overtime, ultimately not able to overcome that effort from the Cavaliers. But it was a much different team, on offense and defense than what we had seen from Florida State previously. And it just didn't feel like they had that same mentality. Obviously, like we've talked about, the level of physicality simply was not up to par. And I mean, you had basically just about as many as missed tackles in that game against Virginia as you had in the previous 2 games combined. So a lot of things went wrong for Florida State, and you have to think there's going to be some stuff that goes back their way going into this game against Miami. And I also think, now you're no longer 3-0. You're no longer a top 10 team in the country. People are now starting to criticize you again. Florida State will see if they're able to have that hunger, that desperation, that attitude that they had coming into the season opener against Alabama, because if they come out with that mindset, it's going to be a heck of a game against Miami.
Yeah, and as we'll talk about later, there's probably a lot of things on that film, especially the defensive film where Miami's watching going, hey, there's no reason we can't replicate 4.5 yards per carry. There's no reason we can't replicate some of these underneath throws. Florida State's going to have to be ready for that. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm kind of the same way as Dustin. I'm weirdly optimistic heading into this game. As Tommy Castellanos mentioned after the game, they were kind of feeling themselves for the first few weeks, and this is the perfect opportunity to settle back down and refocus. And I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to predict Florida State to win the game. We'll get to that in like an hour, but I am weirdly optimistic heading into this game, more optimistic than I would have been if Florida State had won last week, as crazy as that is to say.
Yeah, it kind of like wakes you up a little bit. And you think about it, like go over to the Eagles right now on the NFL side, and they keep squeezing away with some wins. But I think too, you just don't want to get so comfortable, and kind of a loss you just got to find something optimistic to take away from it, and you can use that as power moving forward. And the circumstances of Miami playing their first true actual road game this upcoming season, that's going to be a massive factor for them, and it is going to be a difference that they have not had to face yet. And we saw the outcome of how that looked like whenever Florida State faced Alabama on a 3:30 kickoff. We all know what a night kickoff is inside Doak Campbell Stadium. I mean, it is a different type of atmosphere, and Florida State brought it at a 3:30 kickoff on a hot Saturday afternoon. Imagine what that's going to look like on a Saturday evening. I just think it's going to be a riled up crowd. Carson Beck and that team and that offensive side of the ball are going to have communication on par, top tier, and this is going to be their first true test at that. And I think that plays a pretty big factor for me whenever I go and looking at this game and who I pick to win it. And I don't know about you guys as well.
No, it's something to pay attention to. I mean, Doak is going to be rocking for this one, and I mean, it always is for Florida State and Miami, but I think this one's a little bit special. I actually want to ask you guys a question. When's the last time Florida State and Miami were both ranked coming into this matchup? How long has it been?
Like just overall, not in Tallahassee?
Overall.
2013 would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I looked at a couple of weeks ago whenever we started kind of monitoring if this was going to be a top 10 matchup.
All right. You guys kind of nailed it. I didn't think that you
I
were.
looked into the college game day stuff as well and saw where they are ranked and such too.
So 12 years. I mean, since the top 25 Florida State. I mean, this year a top 20 Florida State and
that's crazy.
Miami matchup.
That's crazy, but also alarming.
It's pretty believable.
It shouldn't be that way. It should never be that way.
It definitely never should, but it's definitely pretty believable given where the teams have been for the last decade.
But just with what it means for both programs, I mean, the energy's going to be ramped up. There's going to be a lot of intensity on both sides. I will say Miami, the difference from Alabama coming into this one, you're not breaking in a first-time starter. You've got a veteran guy in Carson Beck. He's went into some intimidating atmospheres and come out with victories. 28-3 as a starting quarterback at the college level. Obviously, a lot of that came at Georgia, but off to that 4-0 start this season with Miami. But the atmosphere, it will play a factor on Saturday night.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. And, the issue with Florida State's defense is certainly concerning. I think they had a horrible night, but you just got to hope that, to me, and Tony White talked about it as well, and he put a lot of the blame on himself there and not feeling like he prepared the guys well enough, and maybe he asked for too much for some of those guys to be doing in that game, because you are preparing for a well-experienced quarterback with what you had against Virginia. But that is going to be the same case on Saturday evening. But Florida State's got to find some different things. We found their flaws, and that's something that we did need to see. Miami, though, hasn't really shown. I mean, they had that game against Florida, which came way too close. And, we know the Gators are not a good team this season. And that game came very, very close at home for them to lose that. But they end up coming away with a win. So you can take some things from both teams as well. But I think the big true test is being on the road for the first time for Miami in this hostile environment. But you've also got to fix the things that they saw on film, and hopefully you learn from that. That's the big thing. Well, that team didn't give up. That's the thing. If we would have gone to last year, guys, I mean, we would have seen lacking around, giving up on plays. I mean, it showed when we watched those games, but that wasn't the case on Friday night against Virginia, which is a very good sign that this team is going to continue to try to play their heart out. But, for the most part, that was really relied on just one or two players on their defensive side of the ball. Everybody's got to come together, and most certainly that defensive line unit. It's got to not just show up in the fourth quarter. It needs to show up in the first, second, and third, and to make an impact on Miami's offensive line and what you have there at quarterback, and also too, and the run game as well.
I don't think they quit. I do agree. Last year Florida State would have got down 14-0 that quick. They're probably mailing it in, and it's another loss for the Seminoles, but they were able to fight back. I do think just on the defensive side, like the same level of intensity, guys rallying to the ball to clean up plays by others, it just wasn't there. Some of those missed tackles, if another guy had been there to help clean up that play, it doesn't turn into a longer gain for Virginia. And I'm mainly thinking back to that touchdown there late in the first half for the Cavaliers. So, I mean, there's a lot to clean up, but yeah, this team didn't fall apart. They kept fighting. And I do also agree with you. I mean, it's really the defensive trenches that are going to have to step up for Florida State in this game. I mean, Miami's bringing a veteran offensive line to the table. They've got some serious size there. I mean, 3 guys on that front 5 who go a minimum of 6'6" and 335 pounds. You look at Markel Bell, left tackle, 6'9", 345, right guard, Inez Cooper, 6'6", 345. I mean, they got some big boys up front, some good running backs who are able to run through contact, force missed tackles. So this defensive front, I mean, they're going to need a whole different effort on Saturday night, and we'll see. Florida State trying to switch things up a little bit this week. It sounds like sophomore Amari Williams is going to get a much larger look over on defense against Miami this weekend. That could spark some things in the pass rush for Florida State. But as far as stopping the run, I mean, they're going to need some of those guys, Daryl Jackson, Deontay McCray, they're in the middle to really have a good game against Miami.
And I know you mentioned last year, Logan, it's not like Miami ran away with this game last year. And there was a massive talent disparity between these two teams last year. And it was a 2-possession game heading into the fourth quarter, 23-7.
Yeah, they didn't want to put it away. Yeah, we were there for that one.
If Miami didn't really play that well in that game, and Florida State was awful last year. And you have to think Florida State's made a massive improvement this year. Miami does look much better on defense this year, which was the big problem last year for them. Yeah. But that's also part of the reason to be optimistic is Florida State was abysmal last year. The worst product we've ever seen, and they still kept up with a good Miami team.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Florida State's biggest run in that game was from Tate Rodemaker. Not Tate Rodemaker. I've already forgot about. Yeah, Krummenhoek. Now, what's he doing nowadays? What's he doing at Mississippi State?
Still on the bench.
Sitting down a lot.
QB2 or QB3?
Who cares?
Or sitting out because he's not playing. I don't know.
Who cares?
I'm pretty sure he's QB3 behind a true freshman.
Just need more NIL, man. More NIL would have fixed it. It would have fixed it. Dang. But yeah, no, I think the team fighting that showed that against Virginia, but certainly some things that got to be fixed. You think James Williams can take on some of those big offensive linemen you were just naming there, D-Lou?
That's what I'm worried about.
Do that for us.
Not just James Williams, but I mean the majority of that defensive front. Honestly, this is going to be quite a test. And they answered the call against Alabama. Obviously, I think Miami's offensive line might be a little bit better even than the Crimson Tide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some good prospects up there. It's just, do you want it more? And Mike Norvell talked about it today. It's going to be an emotional game. playing smart is going to be key as well, but he does want his team playing with emotion. It's going to be natural. A lot of these guys playing with each other since they were in middle school, going to high school and such, and then you go two separate ways and you're in the same state though, and you just get ready and you cross or you circle this game every single year, and it's going to be a physical and nasty battle. And like we were just talking there, it's going to start at the defensive line and the offensive line, but we'll go further into those matchups as we go into the preview later on in this episode. But one person though that is completely just kind of over Florida State after giving them praise is ESPN's Paul Finebaum.
You can call him
a
fall.
Shocker. Yeah, he can fall. No, Paul Finebaum has gone ahead and given a comment on Florida State versus Alabama, and no longer thinking that's an impressive win because that was a different Alabama. So let's go over actually to Heather Dinich, who I would have never thought would be on Florida State's side, and we'd be on hers as well on this. But she was in a debate here with Finebaum saying, I got to be honest, it is absurd to me that Florida State dropped 10 spots in the AP poll after losing in double overtime on the road to a very good team, because last I checked, Florida State beat this Alabama team that went on the road and beat Georgia. The selection committee cares about head-to-head results. And then Finebaum responds with, but Heather, come on now. That Alabama team that we saw in the first weekend of the season was not the same one. And I dare say trying to equate a loss at Virginia, whatever they are, I appreciate you complimenting them, versus a loss at Georgia are not one and the same. I think the AP poll got it right. And I bet if the committee met this past weekend, they would say the same thing. What's new with Paul Finebaum here? We kind of already alluded that this was likely going to happen from him and, some potential national pundits. I would say for the most part, like you were saying, or I was like you were saying earlier, Dustin, there's been some national people that are questioning Florida State now, even with that impressive week 1 win. But now we're seeing, of course, Paul Finebaum completely flip on Florida State before he heads into politics, reportedly.
I'll let you take this one, BZ.
This is already way more attention than I want to give Paul Finebaum this week. So I'm good if we just move on, to be honest. Like, the man's got the ears the size of a satellite dish. Why are we talking about him?
He could work for Dish Network. He
could be the dish for Dish Network.
I'll just say
I think Elon should hire him at Starlink. They could use
I'll just say he does a hell of a job of always, no matter what it is, twisting the story and the favoritism back towards the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
He's committed to the bit. I'll give it to him. He's committed.
He is fully committed. Yeah, no, I mean, we all saw this eventually coming no matter what. I mean, even if FSU probably were to have beaten Virginia and they could have gone on an undefeated roll there, he still would have said, that win. If Alabama were to play like they're doing right now and responding and winning, he would have turned on that and said, well, if we're going to do rankings here, Alabama is going to be over Florida State just because Alabama has played better and they went and beat another SEC team on the road instead of it being, Virginia on the road and an overtime game. That's just how it goes. And he likes to rile up the fan base, and it does a little bit. But I think, FSU fans just kind of just laugh at it now. That's the thing. Just kind of shrug it off a little bit.
At this point, I mean, that's all you've been able to do for 2 years, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I thought I'd just bring that up. Paul Finebaum back to his old ways. What's new there? But now, I mean, this episode is going to be fully FSU versus Miami centric. We don't need anything else to really add in here. We've got plenty to talk about, but I thought we'd run through our 3 biggest matchups to watch on Saturday night. And we can just be an open discussion here. We can go over more than 3 matchups. I don't give a damn, but there's a lot to look into on this one. To you guys, though, who wants to start off first, which stands out, and we can discuss going further, because I've got a handful here that I've written down personally.
Yeah, I think the biggest one, I mean, we've basically all kind of brought it up at this point, not even 20 minutes into the show, when it's Miami's rushing attack against Florida State's rushing defense. And you're able to hold Alabama to under 100 yards on the ground, do what you need to do against East Texas A&M and Kent State. But then last week, Friday night on the road, everything goes wrong at Virginia, where they're able to put up 211 yards on 4.4 yards a carry. And as we've talked about, I mean, Miami's offensive line, they're a veteran, talented group. They bring a lot of size to the table. And I mean, that's what this Hurricane offense loves to do, is pound the ball. And they've got a pair of really talented running backs to do it with, and Mark Fletcher and Shamar Brown. And Fletcher, he's already forced 18 missed tackles in 4 games, whereas Brown, I mean, a really tough runner in his own right. He averages 2.9 yards after contact per carry. So, I mean, these are 2 punishing rushers. And Miami, Austin kind of talked about it. They saw what Virginia exploited against Florida State, and they're going to try and take advantage of those same areas on Saturday night. And it's up to FSU's defense, the front 7. I mean, the defensive line, obviously, but the linebackers have got to be a hell of a lot better in this game. I mean, that loss to Virginia was absolutely putrid from a couple of guys in the middle. All of those guys are going to need to step
Elijah
up.
Herring. Sorry, I got a cough.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
Elijah Herring for Elijah. That was a rough game, and I wasn't
rough
expecting
game
that. I don't know. He wasn't putting himself in the best spots as well, but I thought there was kind of some lack of wanting to be there, urgency. I would just say got to have more urgency from Elijah Herring, because we know he's a good linebacker, very experienced and versatile, and go east to west. It just didn't feel like there was urgency coming from number 31, and that's got to change, obviously, and that will change. You're going to have more emotion, as Mike Norvell said. You're going to have a lot more emotion, but he'll want to be out there more, and he played well, and the whole linebacker group played very well against Alabama week 1.
Yeah, he struggled. I mean, Justin Cryer had a pretty poor game as well, and I mean, it just kind of transpired from there, like across the entire unit, missing tackles. We'll see. I mean, they're going to have to step up in a big way against this Miami team, because they're going to try and do some of the same things that Virginia did, and we'll see if Florida State's able to step up and stop it against the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. Obviously, I'll get to my own matchup here in a second, but the linebacker unit specifically has to play so much better than they did against Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
With how bad they're playing, it's almost surprising that Omar Graham didn't get more snaps than he got. I mean, he hasn't been great to start the season, but he only got 8 snaps in this game. And what Elijah Herring was showing in that game, he wasn't worth keeping out there by the end of that game. We even mentioned during the stream how early AJ Cottrell was playing. Is that something that we see in this game too? I mean, that's how bad that linebacker room got almost immediately in that game. So the linebacker room specifically has to be so much better in this game. And, Dustin already mentioned some of their capable offensive linemen. We haven't even talked about Francis Maui-Noah at right tackle yet, who is a top 10 pick probably. By the time the NFL draft rolls around, he's as talented as they get. Florida State responded by going at 1 top 10 offensive tackle and Caden Proctor. They got to show they can do it against Francis Maui-Noah here.
Going back to the linebacker room, you want to play with you want to get some. You want to go get you some type of attitude, and that's what they play with. Blake Nicholson was the guy that shone out, and then now it's kind of been quiet, and you had those 2 games against nobodies, and then just everybody in that second level just sort of disappeared. And, when that linebacker room hurts, then that allows for that running game to work, and over 200 yards from Virginia just crushes you. And that drive there that absolutely ate you alive, and it kills any kind of motivation you have on the defensive side of the ball. Not only just motivation, but just tiresome of being out there on the damn field. Definitely, I would like to see a little bit more of Omar Graham Jr. out there, but still, it can't just rely on just one guy to do something. We'll see if we'll see more control out there. I'd like to see where you see, Blake Nicholson come back in and go get you some, which he played with against Alabama. Like, he was one that I was like, damn, okay, 20 is really flying after people. Like, he looked like a running back from the other side of the ball, flying into holes and making an impact and playing with physicality like that. At second level has got to play better, or Miami's just going to run through the throat on you with that offensive line.
I mean, Blake was flying against Virginia. He was just flying in the wrong direction. I don't think I've ever seen a linebacker physically do a double take like on that Chandler Morris keep read option where you just see his head snap the other way. I don't think I've ever seen a linebacker do that.
And that's kind of been the sort of inconsistency issue with him. He can fly, and he's, not the biggest linebacker as well. So you want to utilize his speed, but he's got to put himself in the right position.
I will say, last year, Omar Graham Jr., he had one of his best performances of the season in that loss to Miami. So I'd be interested to see if he's able to bounce back this weekend. His he hasn't really been used as much the last couple of weeks. I know some of that was due to the blowouts, but his usage has been trickling down a little bit ever since that season opener against Alabama. We'll see if he's able to get back on track this weekend.
One that I have noted here on is Gus Malzahn versus Ruben Bain, and the entire defense, of course, that has
Mine was
improved
going to be
well.
similar. Mine was going to be similar to that.
Cristobal. But I'm very intrigued to see who is going to win that matchup, because this offense has been flying off the charts nationally, and they found tons of success, as we've been able to see. But I'm very interested to see where Gus works and moves things and personnel around Ruben Bain, because he's going to make his presence felt, but you just don't want to make it felt that much. But he's a very talented player, NFL caliber player on the field on Saturday night for the Miami Hurricanes. They've got to play smart. He's had 22 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 PBU, 1 interception, and 1 forced fumble already in this season. So he is an absolute playmaker for the Hurricanes on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm really intrigued what Gus Malzahn does here. And also, too, I think about Deuce Robinson. There's Deuce Robinson. That's your clear wide receiver 1. But who else is going to step up on the outside? Javon Boggs is someone that we're keeping an eye on. He did not play in that Virginia game. I wonder if that played any kind of factor into the wide receiver room. I mean, there was some shots that, Tommy couldn't make against Virginia that would have allowed for Squirrel White to make some splash plays, but you would hope to, where you have those explosive plays, open up for Squirrel White or whoever that might else be. If it's Javon Boggs, or could it be LaWayne McCoy, who also stepped up in a nice way against Virginia as well. But Gus Malzahn versus Ruben Bain, you have to have a really smart game plan put together against that guy.
Yeah, and this Miami defense has been the cream of the crop in the ACC, leading the conference in multiple statistics. And I mean, they're really spearheaded by that guy who you were just talking about, Ruben Bain Jr., who is so versatile, can get after the passer, obviously at an elite level, but is very good against the run too. And you look over at the other side, Akeem Mesidor, he hasn't been a slouch himself. 17 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. So Miami, I mean, loaded in the front 7. I feel like they've got some new faces in the defensive backfield who have been pretty productive for them. And Keontae Scott coming over from Auburn. Also, we all know about that fiasco with Xavier Lucas to pull him over from Wisconsin, and all of the talk that led to this past offseason. But they got him, and he's been starting for the Hurricanes now back home and back down south. Miami's defense, I mean, they've been very good. Only 3 points allowed in the first quarter so far this season through 4 games, just 5 total touchdowns surrendered. And, the thing that we're looking at going into this game, obviously Florida State has ran the ball at a high level, number 2 in the country as far as rushing yards per game. Miami's defense has been really good against the run. Just 9 rushes this season that have gone for over 10 yards against their defense, and none longer than 30 yards. So that's something that Florida State's going to need to change on Saturday.
Yeah, you guys have basically taken all of my key matchups out of my mouth. I was even going to bring up Akeem Mesidor, so thank you for that. The only things you haven't said about them so far is Miami as a team has generated a ridiculous 86 pressures through 4 games. Mesidor and Bain have 38 of those. They have 19 each, which is absurd. 4 games into the season. Again, they've played Florida, USF, and Notre Dame. We can argue how good some of those offenses are, but that's a ridiculous amount of pressures through 4 games from 2 people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. So you're saying Gus Malzahn and Herb Hand's offensive line should have to step it up another bar.
Pettis and Hansen are going to have to be ready to go for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And I'm glad, we saw Gunnar Hansen go out of that game. It seemed like he took a shot there to the head a little bit with his helmet coming off. I was very glad that he was able to go back in that game, because, man, you need going into this one, I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Not only would you ever, take that loss from Virginia, but more brutal would be losing your starting left tackle. You need these experienced guys to go against this talented Miami defense, man. But the other one I have on here is Tommy Castellanos. We saw how much he affected the game in week 1, utilizing those legs, putting moves on, and, also making the defensive coordinator for Alabama have to get prepared for him and the games and make adjustments. I think I'm unsure. didn't hear anything or whatever. I'm not sure if he was fully 100% against Virginia. I think for the most part, he was hindering a little bit on maybe utilizing those legs, and he was trying to keep his eyes downfield. But you got to hope here with a little bit of extra rest time, he is a full go with using those legs. And I would imagine this is exactly what Gus Malzahn is when we're preparing for a guy like Roommate Jr. It's Tommy Castellanos and utilizing those moves, what he can bring to you in that presence of on the ground. Tommy's got to have a big game on the ground in order for Florida State to succeed, in my opinion, in that matchup against the defense.
He's the X factor. I mean, it is what it is. This game between Florida State and Miami, it's going to be won in the trenches. But
this is why you brought him in.
Yeah, but Tommy Castellanos is a guy who can change that battle by himself because he can make multiple defenders miss. He can do so many different things with his legs. And, you know, like we saw against Alabama, he can hit a couple of those deep throws, but what he can really do is just kind of pick you apart in the short and intermediate, have a couple of those short scrambles that just keep drives extended and keep you alive, keep the clock running. So Tommy, I mean, he's going to need another performance like that week 1 game where he didn't commit any turnovers. He was very efficient. Obviously, it would be nice if Florida State can create a little bit more consistently down the field as far as throwing the ball. I think they're going to need it with the way this Miami defense defends the run. But obviously, I mean, Castellanos is going to have to step up, and it can't be another 2-turnover game like we saw against Virginia.
No, this has to be a clean game. No turnovers, very few penalties. Miami is the more talented team. You can't go into this game committing those kind of mistakes and expect to win.
This is from Ricky New York Live asking, any chance we can use play action with QB rollout keepers to keep Miami's aggressiveness against them? That's kind of what we were just alluding there, right there. Great minds think alike. Got to roll them around. And I think that's exactly what you'll probably see from Gus. I mean, this offense has been very creative. We saw that a lot in Virginia. I'm interested to see what else Gus Malzahn still has in the bag after having to use some of those things that I feel like, to me, guys, I don't feel like he didn't want to use some of those. He would have liked to have saved that for Miami on Saturday night, but he had to go ahead and speed things up and go and use them. But just in scheme-wise and how they use Tommy Castellanos, I would imagine we'll see this and making things a little bit more available for him to utilize those legs.
Yeah, you're going to be moving him around, get him out of the pocket. Obviously, you know, he's done decently well in the pocket, especially in those middle 2 games against East Texas A&M and Kent State as far as throwing the ball downfield. Saw a little bit of that struggle against Virginia. You know, obviously had that pass intercepted there at the goal line by the defender, had a couple that were just off target where it looked like maybe that 5'9" frame couldn't quite see overall the offensive linemen and defenders. So I think he's at his best when Florida State's able to get him out on the move and let him decide if he wants to run or if he wants to put it in the air.
Mm-hmm. This is from Zeno here on YouTube, our regular listener, asking, has anyone told Tony White he is allowed to make adjustments, especially when a team is quite literally running every play? Additionally, before he got his 3rd rushing TD, have someone spy the quarterback. Oh, trust me, I believe you were in here on the watch party with us, Zay.
Yep.
We had a lot of question marks on that. Hey, I would imagine someone upstairs communicated down to Tony White that, hey, Chandler Morris, his hand, he's not throwing the ball. At least on this drive, he's not going to be throwing the ball. He dinged that off of a helmet on a throw. They're going to run the ball. And sure enough, hell, they did. And you were wondering, okay, well, Florida State, are you going to stack the box fully here? And then 2, you knew what was going to happen if there was coverage being well done on Florida State's secondary. He's going to roll out, and then he's going to most likely hurt you with his legs. And sure enough, the hell he did. And there was not enough people there keep an eye on him. You need at least someone monitoring him. But that's something that has got to change. And I think he called himself out on that during this week's presser going into this upcoming week.
Yeah, I mean, the worst part was just seeing them try to defend the read option. I think Austin brought it up. Like, you practice against Tommy Castellanos all offseason. How are you not accounting for the quarterback on some of these option runs? And, that killed Florida State in the end, as well as just the downhill running attack from Virginia's running backs. And credit to their offensive line as well, which that Virginia offensive line isn't a step close to what Miami is bringing to the table on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got to be much better. That defense has to adjust better. And I'll bring up one more thing here in a little bit that they're going to try and carbon copy with Virginia. They have to be better in that intermediate range on those runs in the short passing game. They just have to be more prepared for it.
And I think there's a chance that they can respond and they can bounce back. I mean, Tony White is a very well experienced defensive coordinator. He's had success at every stop that he's been. So it's not like where the team can't respond. I think it was a really good learning lesson. And I think too, when this team went into it mentally, they kind of just overthought, hey, it's Virginia is what it is, not a big name. Even if it is road game, is what it is. We'll be able to put up points. We don't have to do much on the defensive side of the ball. But no, this defense had to learn its lesson. They got whipped, and you got to, I think this team can respond, and that's the good part about it. This is a different team than what you had in 2024. Now, if this was the same team as last year, then I'd be very, very, very concerned going into this game. But this is a coach with coordinator and new, assistant coaches with Tony White there too that have at least shown us against a very strong opponent in week one that they can play some physical ball, and not just play physical ball. They can dominate you on that side of the ball. And it wasn't just playing around. The offense carried you through. No. Defense outside of that first drive and Florida State responding throughout the game to anything, that defense was dominating. So let's just still put that into the factor here on Florida State. Anything else here for you guys of a matchup that you're keeping a very close eye on that Florida State needs to take advantage of here? Or is there's a weakness against Miami that they can pull off? I'd say Deuce Robinson. That man has shown that he is a NFL caliber, NFL draft. I don't know what round yet. We'll see. We got a lot of season left, but as a playmaker and a guy that can score you points, I know he had the bobble in the end zone, is what it is. I know that he wants to have that one back. Absolutely. Could argue that would have been a touchdown, is what it is. Still got to catch the ball, but still all throughout the game, he was, your biggest offensive player on the field.
Yeah, everyone's going to obviously look back to that play in double overtime, but he had a really solid outing. And I mean, he's been Florida State's best wide receiver so far through 4 games. Obviously 2 100+ yard outings in the last 3 games for Deuce Robinson. And he's really excited about this one. I mean, a Florida State legacy, obviously heard from his dad throughout his childhood about the Florida State and Miami battles back in the day, and now he gets a chance to put his stamp on this rivalry. And he even said it, this is why you come to Florida State, to play in this rivalry game against Miami. And I think he's someone that obviously, after the way last week ended, he wants to bounce back. He said as much during his press conference on Tuesday, and he's putting in a lot of work to let that happen.
Yeah, I have to imagine he'll be just fine for this game. I'm not worried about Deuce, even if that should have been a catch. 9 times out of 10, he's catching that on first chance. I'm not really worried about that moving forward. I will say this isn't a key, and I just alluded to the short passing game. Chandler Morris torched Florida State in the short passing game last week. He was 17 of 18 on throws from 0 to 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. You want to guess what Carson Beck is this season on throws 0 to 10 yards?
What is he?
He is a ridiculous 39 of 42. That is where most of his throws are coming, is in the short passing range. Once you get him past that, he's just right above 50%, 19 of 37. Florida State has to force him to throw the ball deep. He's, of quarterbacks that have attempted at least 100 passes so far this year or have dropped back 100 times, he has the 5th quickest time to throw at just 2.4 seconds. He is getting rid of that football because I think part of it is he just doesn't want to get hit after that elbow injury last year. So they've got to find a way to force him to throw the ball deep, because I just don't think he wants to do it right now.
Who do you think is going to be on Malachi Toney on Saturday evening after the showing that Gabriel Rawls gave you?
Old Edwin, because Tony's a slot receiver. He's very rarely lined up outside. It's going to be Edwin.
Edwin's got a fun battle.
I was going to say, it's after the game that Edwin showed us last Friday night. That was, one of your big pluses from the game if you're going to take them. Fun stuff we could be in store for as well. All right, we got to go and make some picks though, gentlemen, and we got to bounce back as well after we took an L. Man, we got so close there with Randy Pittman.
2 yards. All we needed was 2 more yards, Randy.
Damn, 2 more yards. But it's time to go ahead and make our sleeper picks. And luckily, we get to do this all specifically on Florida State versus Miami. Gentlemen, here we are. Here we are. Shout out to our friends at Sleeper. You can make your picks. Use our code NOLES, NOLES, down below. Get a 100% match up to $100. I've been using this not even just on stream. Don't tell the guys. Not a lot of money, but just making some fun picks in here, seeing what this thing can do, because there's all kinds of promos on here. And another one that I'll bring up here in just a minute that they just dropped this morning. But here we are, gentlemen. What are we going with here? They've got 176.5 on passing yards, more or less, there for Tommy. Gavin Sawchuk, 51.5. Let's look at Deuce Robinson. They've got him at 59.5 on receiving. That would be 60 yards if you picked the more, and you would win some cash.
It's a tough one. That's a tough number. I was hoping for like 49.5.
Yeah, think so.
What you think about Beck, 236.5?
You're thinking more or less there on him.
Feels a little high.
I agree with that.
Fairly
I would say less on Beck and more on the Fletcher rushing yards. I think Fletcher's at 82.5. That's a high number. Don't get me wrong.
It is high. Yeah, it is high.
You got more than 82.5?
Sadly.
Let's see what else we got before we lock that in.
Let's just see what we got in the past.
Is there a Tommy anytime rushing touchdown?
Yes, it should be in one of the hot ones, I would imagine, in here. No, they don't have it in the hots. God, Randy Pittman, that man, anytime touchdown. I mean, you could account that there was practically 3 from him. I mean, he didn't know he threw one, but the man caught and rushed for a touchdown and
passed.
Dang, if he just gets if he just gets one, it's 2.84 times your moolah if you pick more there. Let's see. Shows you stats on that just shows that. What is Fletcher? Anybody else? No other running backs outside of Sawchuk. I would love to have Usman Chroma. I thought maybe
there is. If you go to anytime touchdown, if you scroll over, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I can on my desktop.
He is there as an anytime touchdown pick.
As an anytime touchdown pick. Let's see if I can scroll to over there real quick for us. There we go. Boom.
So I'm looking up Beck. He had 205 yards against Notre Dame. He had 160 yards against UF, 340 against USF, and 267 against Bethune-Cookman.
That's a good number then, based on those stats. I would still say less, though.
Yeah, I feel less for some reason. I really do for Beck.
I think less makes sense when you look at what he did against Notre Dame and UF. That's probably
I agree.
More comparable games.
And that's if we know, Tony White gets his side of the ball correct and everything. I think so as well. I mean, we're seeing Ty Simpson now do pretty damn well with that offense with Alabama. Do we want to do any time touchdown here on one of these Noles? Usman, Makai Danzy, man, he's at a 4.09 times on any time. That is delicious.
I feel better about Danzy getting one than I do Chroma.
I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to ruin the bet, but I kind of feel good about Danzy.
I do too.
Yeah, I'm thinking Danzy. All right, let's put him down there.
He's scored in every home game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good way to look at it.
Receiving yards. Do we want to? I mean, I'm not against.
I don't love it. I'm gonna be honest.
I just don't know where else you go.
What's Tony looking like?
Not on here. No receiving yards.
Yeah, it's only Daniels and Deuce.
Do you do? What is Tommy's 51.5? Man, that's high. That is high. But like I was saying earlier, I mean, he's going to have to use those legs. in this game in order for FSU to win. And I think Gus Malzahn's going to operate that offense.
So you're picking this bet as if FSU is going to win, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm showing optimism here. I'm not giving away my answer right now.
Risky.
Oh, look at this. Look at this beautiful thing Sleeper has here. Look at the stats. $78 against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how is that knee feeling?
How is the knee feeling, guys? How's the knee feeling? I think it's feeling fine.
I thought he hurt his ankle.
Whatever it was. I don't know.
I think it is his ankle, but I think his ankle's fine.
His knee's fine, guys.
Leg injury, whatever it is.
I'm thinking we're going more here. I think we're going over.
Okay. And then Beck less.
Yeah, I think Beck less. That secondary puts it on right there. All right, so here we go. We've got Mekhi Danzy, anytime touchdown. Tommy Castellanos, 51.5 rushing yards, meaning that he needs to get 52 to hit that more. And then we've got Carson Beck under on the passing of 236.5. Yep, less there.
I kind of like a Tony touchdown in this game.
Yeah, but it's not listed.
Oh, not even in the hot.
Nope, I don't think so. I'll double check.
Nope.
I didn't see it in the anytime.
Nope, not on here.
Shame.
We don't want to pick a Hurricane to score a touchdown anyways on this show. We don't want
I just want to win a bet. I don't care.
This is it. This is where we win it all right here. This is where we win. So with our $5, we could win $65. That's pretty damn good, I must say.
It's dinner on Logan if that hits.
That's a big dub right there. I'll Grubhub you guys. I got you. But yes, shout out to Sleeper, our friends over there. Like you see down below, use code Noles down below. I've been using the app. It's great to use, even if it's just checking on some stats and seeing seeing how guys look compared to how they've looked the last couple of weeks. You can do that. Plus, right now they're running a free $20 offer, so that's a big one right there. Take full advantage of that. Make sure you guys use our code Noles as well. But that just dropped actually this morning. So they texted that. Make sure you guys use that. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect with sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on games in real time with other users. Get the fastest scores, blazing fast news, and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contest, so you can enjoy the sports the way that they meant to together. Download the #1 sports app today. Like I said, use promo code Noles down below and you'll get $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in 25 states, over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. So shout out to our friends over there. Hopefully they hit. Tail us. Let us know if you tail us. We got to get a dub. We got to get back in the win column, gentlemen.
Don't sleep on us.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if we'll
don't sleep on these picks.
I don't know if we'll run that back, guys. I don't know if we'll run that back. But here we go, guys. Let's get back to FSU, further into FSU versus Miami, because we got plenty still to go through. But I thought I'd bring up what Mario Cristobal had to say about Tommy Castellanos and Florida State's offensive line. Here's what he had to say. It starts with their offensive line. They're a big physical bunch, real heavy-handed. They're light on their feet. They mix up the tempos. They mix up their formation. They're very versatile. Their quarterback is a really good runner as well. He's really good at everything he does, but I think it starts and ends with physicality. They get downhill, they finish runs, they run their feet through contact, and I believe they're #1 in total offense, and not by a little, but by a lot, and a large part of that is because they run the ball very well. And, he's not lying there. Florida State's offense, like I was saying earlier, is off the charts nationally. One of the best in college football, which is just awesome to say. I mean, come on. Can we just enjoy that moment there? Because we went through absolute hell. I mean, it was disgusting football to watch on the offensive side of the ball for Florida State. So it's easy to just quickly, it's how it is nowadays. We kind of just quickly just move on from it and we forget what happened. I mean, that was was rough, and now you're seeing one of the best offenses in the country, and Cristobal is giving a lot of respect to that side of the ball going into this matchup on Saturday evening.
I think Florida State fans would appreciate it a lot more if they were 4-0. But
well, I mean, it is what it is. You're going to take L's. I mean, this team wasn't expected to go and win a national championship. I don't think anybody expected that to be the case as well. But they have put themselves into now a conversation and some expectations off of that week 1 win, and then absolutely demolishing those, smaller teams that they faced at home.
Mm-hmm. If there is someone to ask about offensive line play, it's Mario Cristobal. With his history there. I mean, he knows what a good offensive line looks like. And I mean, we've talked about it on this show, like the transfers that Florida State brought in, the veterans there up front that are starting. And also, I mean, getting Richie Leonard back from that season-ending injury a year ago. It's been a game changer. I mean, for this offense, the physicality up front, they've got plenty of size up there, been efficient for the most part, not allowing a ton of sacks or tackles for loss. And I mean, I really think beyond that, like you've seen the skill players, like when Florida State is running the ball, the guys who don't have the ball are all out there giving their effort, blocking for these guys. We've seen wide receivers, I mean, be the reason that some of these long touchdown runs ultimately get finished off. And I think that's going to continue to be the mindset that Florida State's offense needs to play with on Saturday.
And I know a lot of people will point out, Florida State's competition hasn't been the best. They still had 380 yards against Bama, and they had 515 yards and a loss against Virginia. The offense hasn't been the problem. It was that defense last game. That's the only thing we're really concerned about headed into this is how does that defense show up to play? I don't really have any concerns about the offense being able to gain yards and put up points in this game. I know Miami's defense is much improved. Getting that DC from Minnesota's a much needed improvement for them on that defensive side. They've got great talent. We've already talked about it. But I still think Florida State's offense should be fine.
You know what's interesting? I was seeing a conversation, I don't know, it was on social media about Florida State's tight end room and not really being utilized in the passing game. Do you think that might be something that opens up on Saturday evening for Gus Malzahn? Because we haven't seen a ton. We know Randy Pittman, what he's able to do. It's not really been in the passing game. And then, Landon Thomas just kind of been more of a blocker, which has been interesting to see as, he's someone that actually lost some weight and, you wanted to see him improve as a blocker. And, he has become a blocker there for FSU. And then, what you have with Marquise Douglas, you took Chase Lofton and moved him over to wide receiver and is now dealing with an injury. But do you think that tight end room opens up here? Because Florida State, I mean, we're seeing it right now, could be flipping, a kid from Ohio State. But it's not really being utilized in Gus Malzahn's offense as much. In the blocking game, yes, but in the passing game, there really hasn't been much of a threat. That might be something that makes its debut in a few days.
It's something to watch. I mean, I think the games against East Texas A&M and Kent State, I mean, really muddy this up when you're talking about evaluating a position group on the offense, just because, I mean, Florida State was very vanilla in those games trying to get on. They obviously didn't have Randy Pittman Jr. in either of those two games. So, I mean, with him back in the fold, he's obviously going to be a consistent producer for Florida State in multiple ways, versatile guy who can help you as a receiver and as a blocker. And I think beyond that, we've seen a little bit of Amari Williams in there, Marquise Douglas mostly in that blocking role. I think Landon Thomas, I mean, he's been pretty disappointing so far for Florida State through 4 games. And it's tough to say, coming off a preseason injury, didn't get to practice a ton, didn't see him out there a ton against Alabama. But, I mean, he didn't really show up often against East Texas A&M or Kent State. And, I mean, once again, on Friday night, you didn't see him get a ton of snaps out there for Florida State. So as deep as we were talking about this tight end room being coming into the season, I think they haven't been, so far through the first quarter or through the first third of the regular season. We'll see if maybe you can turn some of that around now with Randy Pittman Jr. back out there and hopefully full strength.
Gus Malzahn has something up his sleeve for this game, like almost assuredly. He's saved a couple plays that he didn't want to put on film for this game.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know what it is yet. Is it the tight ends? Maybe. Is it some kind of crazy other Mekhi Danzy play? Probably.
We hope so. We need that touchdown.
He's got something up his sleeve for sure. We just don't know what that is because Gus Malzahn is a lunatic sometimes.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, you haven't necessarily needed your tight ends, and it hasn't been the case because you found so much success on the ground. But it has, it's kind of stood out to me that you haven't, utilized Landon Thomas, who I would argue would be your best best catcher with probably Amari Williams, at least playmaking wise. Randy Pittman, I would say, is more of a threat with what he's able to do in the blocking scheme of things. But he still can catch the ball, and sure damn did in a big time moment for Florida State on Friday night. But interested to see. That's something we should keep in mind and look into as the game progresses against the Hurricanes on Saturday. Now, there's a question here from Facebook from Caesar asking, who do you think has a better team overall? Is it Miami or is it Alabama?
Given how the teams have looked so far, Alabama's got the slightly better offense, but I think Miami has the better defense. Overall, I would say Miami by a hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I mean, I think it's 50-50. I would probably give Alabama a slight edge in talent over Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Well, talent for sure, but I'm saying the way the teams are constructed, I think Miami's a better team overall right now. But Miami has Mario Cristobal, and that's the bigger difference of why everyone continues to doubt them.
Yep. We've seen some Miami teams that were more talented fumble away some games in some puzzling ways. Even last year with number 1 overall pick Cam Ward.
Oh, yeah. 110%. Karen asking here on Facebook what happened to Andre Otto. They had high hopes for him. Well, luckily you don't need to put him out there. You want your front and your starting 5 to be healthy, and so that's the case there. And I don't want to see Andre Otto out there. I mean, hope he's doing well. Hope he's doing good. Everything's fine, but I don't want to see him out there because you want to keep your first starting 5 healthy, and that has been a beautiful thing to see of a unit staying out there together in unison and no shuffling around from not even game to game, but drive to drive. Shout out to Alex Atkins for that. All right, let's move on here real quick. Some notes on this before we give our score predictions, ladies and gentlemen. First off, Kirk Herbstreit's going to be in the house. Dustin, since we know it's very limited on credentials, you might be the only one there representing us for NoleGameday. Need you to say what's up.
Can you slap him for me?
Whoa, my gosh. Gee. Virtually, right? Virtually. You
no.
said that virtually.
You're going to get my credential pulled.
Wow. Jeez. All right. Well, we might not have anybody in the press there. Thank you, VZ there. At
You're
least
welcome.
You should not even acknowledge Kirk, but just acknowledge the dog. Don't even look at Kirk and just maybe pet the dog. Maybe just don't even maybe not even pet the dog. Just look at it. Just get a little psh, and then just move on from it. Don't fall for the PR BS that he's running.
My biggest question is, how do they get him into the stadium?
Kirk, I don't know. They're going to have security out the wazoo for that man.
Are they just
I don't think he's going to go down to the field.
No.
Usually he's down there, him and Fowler down there, talking with some players or sometimes some coaches as well. But I just don't know how long that would last for Kirk out there on the field. Not only, he wouldn't be talking to anybody on the FSU side. And Norvell doesn't want to talk to him. This coaching staff doesn't want to talk to him. The players, they definitely don't want to talk to him. And of course, Doak Campbell Stadium, it's the student section. They don't want to talk to him. And they probably do want to say some things to him.
They want to talk to him.
He's going to get the biggest boo. I don't know who's going to get a bigger boo. Miami Hurricanes when they come out, or Kirk Herbstreit in the pregame.
What are also the chances of, let's say Florida State's down 17-13 in need of some momentum? The in-stadium Doak Campbell crew just puts a picture of Kirk Herbstreit on the screen, or a live feed of him on the screen.
That would actually be a good idea.
I hope so.
Do it in pregame as well. The loudest boo. Please, Dustin, get the video of that. That would be absolutely incredible. Yes, Kirk Herbstreit will be calling this game because this is their A team coming in. Primetime matchup. Number 18, Florida State versus number 3, Miami Hurricanes. Some things here to monitor injury-wise is number 1 to me is Ashlyn Barker and his availability. We heard from Mike Norvell today, said he's progressing in the right way. We won't have an injury report until tomorrow on this, so that's something that we'll be keeping a close eye on. Some other names to watch are Javon Boggs, as we mentioned earlier, your starting wide receiver. Roydell Williams, expected to hopefully maybe participate in this game as well. And, Mike Norvell said today that he's looked pretty good. And we have not gotten word yet fully on Cam Davis and such. Luckily, you're pretty loaded in that running back room as well. But I think for me, I thought I was going to see Kevin win against Virginia. I did not see that. I really wish we could have seen Kevin win because
probably
God dang. Absolutely getting decimated there at the defensive line with how Virginia was running that ball right up your ass. But you need another big ass dude there, and hopefully Kevin Wynn will make his debut because I would love if we're talking physicality, someone that wants to manhandle you and just piss you off. I want Kevin Wynn in the game. I want him in the game, and I hope this is what the debut of him.
You hear this, right, Dustin?
It's making me uncomfortable.
I want him in the game.
I don't like that tone.
I don't either.
I don't like the tone of Daryl Jackson so far until the fourth quarter of games.
To me, D-Jax hasn't been the issue. He's getting double and triple teamed.
I don't think he's the issue now. It's not the issue, but there's no one really beside him to, do something. I think that would help Daryl Jackson a ton if you do have a guy like Kevin Wynn who, because you've seen on the edge there, you've seen it with the twins, the Desir twins. You see that physicality, and that makes an impact off the edge. But then at some point, though, offensive. I mean, that was a disappointing performance from Florida State's defensive line against a pretty injured and banged up Virginia offensive line,
to say the least. Yeah, it'll be big to get Kevin Wynn back. Also, looking for Boggs. I mean, FSU 3-0 so far this season. Whenever Boggs is out there as a starting wide receiver, we'll see if that's the case.
You're doing a lot of correlation without causation here tonight.
I'm trying. I'm speaking it in. Be big to get him back. He was able to warm up before that game against Virginia. Just didn't quite seem ready to go. So same thing with Kevin Wynn. That makes me think that both of those guys will be available against Miami. And I'm interested to see as far as Roy Dell, if he does return on Saturday night, which all the signs are pointing that he will be back in the lineup for Florida State. Is he going to be starting again for FSU? Are they going to run with Salchuk? How are they going to split up the carries with Chroma and Jalen Lucas and, potentially Samuel Singleton involved there as well? Keziah Holmes. So there's a lot of bodies. We'll see how Florida State's able to distribute those carries.
I was just about to say, Florida State's already having a hard enough time trying to divvy up those carries because to me, Salchuk looks like the guy. I think he needs the most carries right now. I know he had that fumble last week against Virginia, but he's been outstanding outside of that. And Usman Chromas only deserves more and more touches as the season goes along because he's that talented. How does Roy Dell work into that rotation? How does Jalen Lucas work into that rotation?
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem. It's
a good problem to have. It's a great problem to have, but it is a problem.
Just don't get too cute on the goal line, please. Just don't get too cute in the red zone. If you feel an Usman Chroma, which they did start off that overtime with, and your most physical back, then put him in there because you know that he's going to be yakking for you yards after contact, and that's exactly what you want. He's yakking. He's a yacker, D-Lou. You can laugh all you want, but he's a yacker.
That just makes me think of someone vomiting.
Oh,
like a lot.
I was vomiting watching Florida State's defense last week. It's fun.
But they're going to respond, VZ. They're going to respond, and we're going to see what happens Saturday evening. This is a different team than last year here. But, yeah, I think to me, though, we got to hit on Ashton Barker, gentlemen. I mean, this guy is one of your most I would say impactful guys on the defensive side of the ball, just of where he needs to be assignment wise, and also to how nasty he plays and he lays licks on players. And in this game specifically, you would like to see where he can come down and crack some folks. And you got to hope that he's going to be a full go for Saturday after he left that Virginia game. Couldn't really tell exactly where that happened in the game. I should have done a better job of that. I apologize. I'm an awful producer of this show.
I mean, Shaheem
5 stars
did a lot in that
iTunes.
second half.
Rate us 5-star on iTunes and hit the like button. But yeah, awful producing here. We should know where and what happened there with Ashton Barker, but we don't know. But Mike Norvell told us that he's progressing. It's Wednesday. What do you take from that, gentlemen, from coach speak?
I don't love it. He hasn't.
I don't like it either.
He hasn't spoken as optimistically about Ashton Barker's status as he has Roy Dell Williams.
Yeah,
so,
and I was surprised by that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be another game time type of thing. Obviously, these ACC availability reports, we're going to continue to get those for conference games. First one Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. So that'll give us some initial statuses on those guys, and you get another one on Friday, 2 hours before kickoff. But yeah, Florida State, I mean, the physicality and just really the effort that Ashland Barker brings to the field. I mean, they've been really fun qualities to watch so far through these first 4 games for Florida State. And, this was a guy who last year, left that Miami game due to an injury, and it seemed like a serious situation at the time. And I'm sure he'd love to get out there and face off against the Hurricanes again if he's able to.
I mean, Ashland's been undoubtedly the most improved player from last year. I don't even think it's close. Just that size, speed, and physicality from safety has been a lot of fun to watch, especially playing alongside Earl Little Jr. But if we're looking at a silver lining, Shyheim Brown's coming off his best game in a year and a half.
I was going to say that.
If Barker does miss the game, you at least have some optimism that Shyheim can build off of that Virginia performance and continue to step in there, because he really did look pretty good against Virginia last week, I would say. One of the few on that defense that looked okay.
Yeah, new safeties coach with Evan Cooper coming in, and that safety room has shown some promise there as well. And it's a room that you're starting to find out some guys from behind Shyheim and Ashton Barker and Earl Little Jr. coached well. But we could see where Shyheim Brown has to take a big step and to help in this team on Saturday evening. Now, Tommy Castellanos did say Florida State's defense has got to step up and make this a threat to Carson Beck. He said, as a quarterback, we don't want to be hit. We don't want to be rushed in these moments. We want to sit back there and look cool and throw the ball and spin it, make it ugly for him, make him move around a little bit and be panicking a little bit. I always tell the guys on defense to go get him, go put some licks on him, make him feel you. Who's going to make Carson Beck not feel good? Who's going to get a shot on him in the first quarter? Like, oh, okay, so I shouldn't hold on the ball for this long. Who is going to have to do that? Who will it be? That'll be my last question, and then we'll do some score predictions from everybody.
I can't guarantee who it will be,
man,
but
guarantee it.
I have a prediction, and it's probably not someone we would have thought going into the season. But
Timmy Jernigan's got another year.
Mandrell Desir, I mean, has been knocking some people out through these first 4 games for Florida State. He's already gotten after quarterbacks a couple of times, and coming into this week, he's actually listed as a co-starter there on the depth chart with Daniel Lyons. That's a big change. We'll see if maybe that means Mandrell's made a leap during practice and he makes the first start of his career against Miami, which would also probably be pretty cool for him, considering that he's from South Florida. So give me Mandrell Desir.
Ooh, okay, the true freshman.
I will go in a completely opposite direction. Literally couldn't be further. I'll go Shyheim Brown. We were just talking about him. We saw Tony White bring Ashton Barker on some blitzes last week against Chandler Morris, got home on one of those, and even forced another sack by forcing Morris out of bounds. So now Ashton Barker is your leading sack leader for the team. If Shyheim stepped in that role, I could see Shyheim on a couple blitzes and getting home to Beck.
Ooh, that would be great. What a comeback story that would be. But yeah, someone's got to get back there to affect Carson Beck, and that whole unit as a whole has got to step up. And I do think there is going to be, Dustin, I wouldn't be shocked if I were going to do some picks on Sleeper and this was some kind of thing that we could do, put a slip in. I would expect, to be honest with you, there might be a change up in that starting unit coming off the side on Saturday evening. I like 44 a little bit out of what I've seen from 97 and also to 10, if I got those numbers correct there.
Can't just say names.
I've said it. I said it. I said too many on Monday. Our intro was about 10, and I'm going to cool off a little bit and hope maybe there's a bounce back game right there for number 10. So I've done enough. I think this defense is going to respond well. All right, here we go. Score predictions. Everybody put it in the chat. What do we have? What do we got? Is Florida State winning this game? And if so, by how much? Primetime matchup. I mean, we're going to be here. Instant reaction. Make sure you guys, like I say, hit the bell next to the subscribe button, whatever it is. Hit that because we're going to go live right after the game is over with VZ and I to give our thoughts.
As long as Logan remembers That he's supposed to go live as soon as it's over.
I'm going to enjoy this game. I'm going to enjoy it. If I can't go up there for it and such, we're going to enjoy it with a few beverages. So it might be a little bit entertaining. Some of these sometimes are entertaining, as long as it's just not like UF's last year where I was completely intoxicated and should not even be near a camera or a cellular phone at all. That was, and Florida State being 2-10, yeah.
Oh, that was an all-timer. I'll admit, that was an all-timer.
I maybe remember 10% of that show. That's how bad it was. So, yeah, don't take a shot. Don't take a tequila shot in the fourth quarter. Stupid, stupid, stupid idea after like probably 8 beers. Anyways, we'll be more professional on Saturday evening, I promise. But here we go, VZ. You start us off. Score prediction. Here, what do we got?
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of things in this matchup. I really think it's going to come down to how does Tony White's defense get after Carson Beck? Are they going to make him hold on to the ball? Like, is it just gonna be a lot of quick throws again, and they're just getting torched by the quick throws and the quick runs? If that happens, Florida State probably doesn't get within 2 scores. But I think Tony White's defense is going to adjust. And as I talked about at the top of the show, I'm weirdly more confident in this game after Florida State lost than I would have been if Florida State came into this game 4-0. I probably would have had Miami winning by 7 or 10 points. I still think Miami's going to win, but I've got it in a close one, 31-30. As much as it pains me to say.
Ooh. That'd be rough. That'd be a rough incident.
It'd be a rough one. It'd be a rough one.
Glad I won't be here.
Yeah, you'll be in the stand. You'll be the only one representing us, man.
I will say I was the only one on this show to pick Florida State to beat Miami in the preseason predictions.
Can't change now.
Yeah, is he going to switch up on us? Can you trust Dustin Lewis?
I don't know.
Can't. I definitely can't.
I wouldn't trust me either.
No.
But one thing I've talked about during the show, I think this game's going to be won at the line of scrimmages and with physicality. And I continue to look back to that game against Alabama in week 1, where Florida State, they came out, punched them in the mouth, and were the most physical team for that entire game. And since then, we've seen Alabama go on to get pretty impressive win there on the road against Georgia last weekend. So, that victory for Florida State, it's just looking better and better as time goes on. Like I said, everything that could go wrong went wrong against Virginia. I think Florida State, they went back to the drawing board, a little bit more focused this week, and they're going to have that same level of desperation that we saw back on August 30th. So I'm going to go Florida State, another upset over a top 10 team, a top 10 team in Doak. And actually, I've got the same almost the same points as you, Austin. Florida State 31, Miami 28.
Ooh.
Wow.
Eat that, Paul Finebaum. Suck it. Man, I've not even written anything. I've not put down any score picture. This is all raw off the top of the head, and just was having it. I think us going through the game tonight really dove me in even deeper and had some deep thoughts about this one. And I look back and I look at that Florida game between Miami, and I think Florida has a decent defense, but this was at home for Miami. You could say at home, but they don't have their own stadium. But I think this is going to be a rowdy Doak Campbell Stadium. This has been sold out. This has been sold out for a very long time now. And we saw what that factor did, like I said earlier in the show, against Alabama. But this is just a different caliber. Doak at night is one of the most ferocious stadiums to play in all of sports, in my opinion. Been there in 2011 whenever Florida State faced off against Oklahoma. Notre Dame game as well. Clemson overtime win there with our guy Los running in there to the end zone. That stadium is hell to deal with. Definitely when the war chant is absolutely blasting in your ear. Shout out to the Marching Chiefs and the Big 8. But I think Florida State wins this game. I really do. I think the defense responds. I think they are coached. I think they're coached well. They had a bad game, and Tony White owned up to that as well. And I don't know. Something's just telling me this is the first real true test it is the true first test for Miami on the road. And it's just not going to be an easy one. It's just not going to be. And it's really just comes down to one thing. If you play with more tenacity, if they play with more tenacity and want to go get you some, Florida State will win this game because they did that against Alabama. Now, if they don't want to do that, then they won't win. That's just kind of plain and simple there. But I got Florida State pulling off. I'm going to stick with 33 to 26. A little odd of some numbers, but I like that right there for Florida State.
33 to 26.
33 to 26.
I did want to add
3 touchdowns and 4 field goals.
Shout out to Dalvin Cooks, who absolutely dominated against Miami. Wore number 33 throughout his first couple years against the Minnesota Vikings.
Hell yeah.
Just a little something there, a little something.
I did want to add, to end off the score prediction, I meant to say this during mine, but Miami has not won in Tallahassee since 2019. Mike Norvell obviously wasn't the head coach of Florida State then, but Mike Norvell 2-0 against Miami in Doak.
Yeah. And just like, wow, what a name here on YouTube. Fart Keyhole here. Doak is a top 10 environment in the ACC.
He's 10. Right. Even better than top 10, maybe.
He's not wrong.
You could argue.
He's technically not wrong. I mean,
yeah. Well, I'm actually in shock we not have more Miami fans in here in the comments. I'm actually
they're starting to come through now.
Yeah, they are. That's what that honestly might have been where I favor Florida State more in this game. I thought we'd have a little bit more of some Miami Hurricane trolls in here. We'll have them, though, and whenever this VOD goes up, they'll show up and they'll show out. So shout out to the Miami fans that are going to be all in the comments here. Can't wait to see you at the instant reaction if both D-Lou and I's scores are correct. Should be a good time, but we'll see you guys Saturday. It's going to be probably maybe early morning-ish. We'll see how long this game goes. Florida State's always go way too long, but we'll see you for an instant reaction here on all of our platforms. If you're here still on with us on YouTube, smack that like button. If you hit the like button, Florida State wins on Saturday. So that just will go ahead and do it for you. Also hit the bell next to that. But appreciate y'all. If y'all are traveling up to Tallahassee, safe travels, and hope Florida State can pull off a big-time upset in Doak, baby. We will see you guys on Saturday evening. Peace.